Steve Millington joining us in studio this morning from the Twin Falls County Republican Party. He's the chairman of that organization. Bill Colley with you as well on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. We have a new sponsor at News Radio 1310 KLIX, Dream Room Design. And I've got to tell you a little bit about them. I'll tell you a little bit later in the show, too, as well. They've been in business for 16 years now. I keep thinking 2015. I'm still doing that on checks, too. Owner Bill Connett provides hands-on personal attention to each project, overseeing the job from start to finish. There we go. Bill will personally come to your home and help you design your dream project. Better Business Bureau accredited with an A-plus rating. Many times, as homeowners, we deal with large companies with offices all over the state. With Dream Room Design, you get one-on-one personal attention and a relationship throughout the project. Visit dreamroomdesign.com to find reviews, written and video testimonials, before and after pictures, product videos, and a ton of information about the company and the services that it provides. Steve Millington, of course, we were talking a little bit about last night's big event. We'll take some telephone calls, too, from people who may have a reaction, especially to that coin flip business. The telephone number is 736-0300, 736-0300. So 6 times in various precincts in Iowa, they had to flip coins for Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders. Sanders is now calling for an investigation.
What kind of a coin did they use?
Yes, and it definitely, and when it comes to the Clintons, I guess the reputation precedes them on some of these things.
Yeah, that's right. And the thing that I find interesting is if only half of those 6 precincts had gone to Sanders, Hillary Clinton would not have won Iowa. And so you look at that and you say to yourself, wait a minute, this just really doesn't look quite right. First thing we want to do is go back and recount all those ballots.
And unlike the Republicans who got votes were counted, they apparently just counted the precincts for the Democrats.
That's
because
right.
She won by 5, right? So 400 to 395, I think, was the figure I saw on television this morning. And even the folks over at MSNBC on Morning Joe were pointing out something's not quite right about the coin flips.
This doesn't look exactly correct, and that's interesting. And I think we know. Well, we don't either know the polls, which we know are not accurate by any means, are indicating that Bernie Sanders should win New Hampshire very comfortably. They could be wrong. We'll wait and see. However, Sanders is from Vermont.
Yeah.
And that's my next door neighbor. And so
not as liberal as Vermont, but close.
But close. That's exactly right. But close. So he should do well in New Hampshire.
I have personal experience with the man. He was my congressman for a while when I lived in Vermont for a year. And I lived on a mountainside in Bristol, Vermont, which was about the most Republican place in the state. Bernie would come there for the parade on the 4th of July every year. And even though people didn't agree with him, they really liked the guy because, unlike the Clinton clan, he is incredibly honest, even if you don't agree with him.
I've noticed that in some of his campaign speeches. He just says it like he means it. And he's not sugarcoating. He said, this is the way it has to be. We're going to do this, and we're going to do this. And to do that, we're going to have to raise taxes. And you don't run a campaign promising to raise people's taxes.
We have a caller with us. And caller, you're on the air on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com.
Hey, good morning. I'm enjoying the show this morning. Hey, I want to go back to Ted Cruz if I could. I'm liking this win for him because I was kind of leaning for Trump, but this ethanol you talked about yesterday, that governor, I call him a Democrat governor there in Iowa. He was backing that Trump because of the ethanol.
Terry Branstad, I think his name.
Yes, and that just turned me sick because he's for ethanol and windmills. And so I was glad to see Ted Cruz win that. So I just want to call it, say that.
That's an interesting comment, and you're right on with your review of that. This morning, one of the news blogs that I read said the biggest loser last night was the insane mandate for ethanol, and not that ethanol does not it does have a place in our energy complex, but the reason that it has succeeded the way it has or prospered is federal funding. So the federal government once again is choosing the winners and the losers. And Cruz is opposed to the concept of the federal government intervening in the capitalistic process and choosing winners and losers. And he doesn't have a problem with ethanol per se. He just doesn't want the federal government financing it. So the federal government needs to get out of the financing, and the ethanol industry can figure out how to make it on their own.
And we've known for 7 or 8 years after they decided to do this that it really wasn't good for the environment anyway.
No, it isn't.
But now that someone has finally won in Iowa opposing it, it may be the end of it.
It may be the end of it. The common consensus was that you could not win Iowa and oppose ethanol. And Cruz debunked that little myth last night. He just tipped that right over backwards.
I just saw a note here I've got on via the internet about what happened in Iowa, and it says flipping fools.
Wow. So the ethanol thing it's going to be at considerable risk in future years. It may not be nearly as strong as many people thought that it was. And that's not all bad, not completely all good, but it's not all bad.
Corn is for eating, not for driving.
That's what I think.
We've got a short break. Hold that thought.
You bet.
Steve Millington, and more of your telephone calls on the way. There we go. I got a little tickle in the throat this morning. I can't get words out.
Bad morning for both of us so far, Bill.
Just looking at a message here, I do want to point out, it's a message from Dr. Jonathan Tripp's office. While Steve is here tomorrow, of course, he'll also be joined by the doctor or one of the physician assistants between 8:30 and 9 o'clock in the morning. And we do this every Wednesday between 8:30 and 9 o'clock with Tripp Family Medicine. It's called Better Health with Tripp Family Medicine. We may also be doing a second visit with them next week to talk about the Zika virus. And should people panic, or is this just the latest, flesh-eating bacteria? Or we hear about all of these diseases that media really amplifies, and then a few years later you think, gosh, whatever happened to that? But we may actually have a special show coming up with them next week about that as well. And I do want to point out they are located, the office, Tripp Family Medicine, on Fillmore Street, directly across from the main post office right here in Twin Falls, Idaho. And remember, life's too short not to feel good. It's 8:45. It's 20 right now. Oh, does that seem warm? Steve Millington in studio with us.
It really does feel warm.
News Radio 1310, KLIX, and newsradio1310.com. And, of course, the number to reach the program today, 736-0300, 736-0300. We had to cut you off in mid-sentence as we went to break.
One of the problems with getting old is you forget what you're doing. A couple of things that really stuck out with me last night. The speeches. Fox News was trying to get all of the speeches put together, and so we all got a chance to look at they had the 5 front runners, Hillary and Bernie Sanders, and then Trump, Rubio, and Cruz. Well, first let's go to Sanders. He knew that he had placed second. He was not the winner, no gold medal, but he made it clear that we have sent a message, and it's a strong message, and it's thanks to you people in Iowa. And he made a point of emphasizing these things, and then he pointed directly at the camera in front of him, because you could see his eyes and his arm reach out and point right at the camera, and he said, the media is at fault or wrong or misunderstood or misjudged, and the crowd went wild. And I thought, well, it's not just the Republicans who are slamming the media. Now we've got one of the Democrat frontrunners that's also slamming the media. The only person who did not slam the media was Hillary Clinton. That's obvious, I hope, to everybody.
Well, because most of the media won't even talk about her difficulties and her potential indictment.
They've got her, they're on her side so strongly that nothing else matters.
The New York Times endorsed her the other day. Can she run the country from Leavenworth? That's the next question.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
We have a caller with us, Steve Millington and Bill Colley on the air. And, of course, caller, you're on the air on KLIX.
Good morning.
Good morning. Comments about the ethanol thing. I work in agriculture. When you figure the cost of the fertilizer, the seed, everything that goes into producing ethanol, you actually have a net loss of energy. There's more energy expended producing the ethanol than you get back out of it. And, of course, it wouldn't exist without the subsidies, same as the wind and so forth. but a comment on the coverage this morning on Good Morning America. Rubio got about 5 minutes. Trump got to see his concession speech. Cruz got 0.
Wow.
Isn't
0.
that interesting?
Yeah. And so it's obvious. You talk about the media and so forth, but it's so obvious that they do not want Ted Cruz in there any which way. It was really so obvious how they totally snubbed anything that Ted Cruz had to say with his victory speech.
I heard, and I'll add this to that. I heard something from one of the pundits who, for a change, was, I think, a little bit frank about this yesterday. May have been while I was watching The Five, which I don't normally, which is odd because it comes on here at 3, but I was watching the program and somebody said something along the lines, he's criticized because he's not popular in the Senate and no one's endorsed him, but most members of the Senate haven't endorsed anyone yet.
That's right.
So it's not just Ted Cruz. They're staying away from endorsements altogether at the moment.
Well, there have been
it's certainly obvious that the media has an agenda right now. It's either their man now is Rubio. It's really obvious. I mean, he got 5-minute interview this morning, right at the top of the hour on the Good Morning America.
Fox as well, I should point out.
Yeah,
and probably the same thing. I didn't look at Fox, but so it's just so obvious. And Fox always says to be fair and balanced, but they're not really. They're all in the tank for the establishment, really. So, but the big problem is if you take away the subsidies on these ethanol and the wind and so forth, they all go away because they really can't produce the energy. And the idea that we can take away all the coal-fired plants, even here in Idaho, if you take away Fort Bridger and Valney and so forth, I mean, we're in big trouble because we don't have enough hydro to take care of the needs. So anyway, those are my comments today.
Thank you.
Now, just as a follow-up on his comments about energy cost, in Hillary Clinton's speech last night, she said, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and we are going to, when I am president, I'll see to it that there's universal health care for every man, woman, and child. When I am president, we will go to completely green energy. When I am president, we will see to it that young people can get through college and eliminate student debt. And I'm thinking to myself, I believe that's the same message that Bernie Sanders has been preaching for the last 4 or 5 months.
Everything's free.
Everything's free. And when Hillary got done with the, I guess we can call her Hillary rather than Secretary Clinton.
She's like Elvis. Everybody knows her by the first name.
Yeah, Elvis. Or Ted. But anyway, when she got done, I said to myself, that would be a total and complete disaster for the state of Idaho. Absolutely disaster. We have one of the lowest kilowatt rate fees in the United States. One of the advantages that we have when we start competing with businesses to come to Idaho is the energy factor. We have a really economical, cheap energy here in this state, and if we go to follow Hillary Clinton's plan, we're gonna have to be equal with California or Arizona or New York, because the one of the greatest benefits of socialism is the equal sharing of all miseries.
Yeah.
And so we will it's going to kill us because our energy costs will be out of this world. The ripple just goes on forever on that issue. And I thought to myself, people are not listening to that at all. Not at all. We're going to eliminate all carbon-based fuels. And Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning, I went to Boise, Idaho to attend church meetings with family members up there. And as we drove up, the windmill farm out at Bliss was silent. Nothing was turning. When we went by the one between Hammett and Mountain Home, nothing was turning. When we came home later in the Sunday afternoon, the same thing. Only one or two of the towers was actually spinning. The rest of them were silent. And I mentioned right out loud, well, I'm sure glad I'm not dependent upon wind energy to keep my furnace running today.
We have a caller with us, Steve Millington in Studio 2, I should point out, till 9 o'clock this morning. He's also here tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, filling in for me while I complete a move into a new building. 852, and of course it's 20. And you're up next. You're on the air.
Good morning.
hydroelectric is awesome. Just so everybody understands, it is a renewable resource that can be stored. What more could you ask for? I don't know why the Democrats are so against it, other than they want to be in control. But the reason I actually called is they want Rubio to win because they know people are pissed off and they don't want to have anything to do with that whole socialist agenda, and they don't want to have anything to do with Republicans who are just carrying the water for the Republicans that are in power currently. It's all about cronyism, and they know that he'll lose against Hillary because people are pissed off about the Republican Party. Rand Paul would be awesome. Ted Cruz would be awesome. Both of them together, perfect. That's what I have to say.
Be a good ticket.
Interesting approach. That one of the things that concerns me the most about Marco Rubio is the fact that the quote establishment people, the Washington establishment, and this is both the K Street lobbyist groups back there, plus the media, are now lining up behind Marco Rubio. And I look at that and I say to myself, that's the wrong combination of individuals lining up behind him. That's not what we want.
And I'm not, Rubio is not as...
He's not as establishment as he appears to be.
But he's a traditional conservative. 10 years ago, I was. But times have changed, and the country is... I read Pat Buchanan twice a week. He's got his column out twice a week, and he has been detailing the changes in this country. He had a great column today about how the people in charge have really missed it. They have missed the fact on both the left and the right that the public, 70%, I saw this statistic, of Americans call themselves middle class, and those 70% say we're going the wrong direction.
Right.
It's not just a bunch of old white guys. It's everybody who considers themselves somewhere in the middle. I got to tell you, this is a moment. Pat Cadell, the pollster, said yesterday, we are in a pre-revolutionary moment, that we're just around the corner. If something doesn't break this year, there will be a revolution in this country.
Wow. That's really scary. It's uncomfortable to think about and to face, but it's extraordinarily scary that we're looking at this kind of a... And 10 years ago, I don't think any of us in our wildest imagining would even have come close to that kind of an assessment. And yet here we are looking at a situation that maybe they're saying that for effect, but they're doing it with some basis. And that, what they can see, what most of us can sense out there, is just more than a little unsettling. It's frightening.
Want to point out, if you'd like to reach us this morning, in fact, a couple of callers, I guess, trying to chime in, 736-0300. Steve Millington is our studio guest. You're listening to News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. The show is Top Story with Bill Colley, and you're up next. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Yeah, first of all, we have to win. We have to win. And so when Rubio says that the left is more afraid of him because he can beat Hillary, is this a fact, or is it just a spin? And so, but maybe Rubio, when I listen to him, I feel very confident in his sincerity. But you see, is he being co-opted by the rhinos and the traditional Republican Party? I don't know. See, again, we would love to have Cruz, but again, if we don't win, we don't have a thing. And I'll hang up.
Good point. Last night when they were broadcasting the speeches of the various people, Rubio was first, and then Trump came on, and then Cruz was last. And interspersed in Cruz's speech was Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. Rubio took about, I'd say, 9 to 12 minutes. I didn't time it, but 10 minutes probably would be the max end. When he got done, he was talking about you, the United States, United States, United States. We can do this. Greatest generations ahead. This is a pivotal moment where we can regain our greatness and etc. Well, Trump just kind of basically said, they told me not to come, but I did, and I got second, and that's great. We're going to go onward and upward, and here we go. Cruz talked for 1 hour. Even Fox News had to cut him off at the 30-minute mark and go to other things because he just kept rambling. Never once did I hear Cruz say, as a country, we can do this. It was always, I will do this, I will do this, I will do this, me, I. And Rubio's speech was we, or you. And I thought to myself, either somebody coached him very well, or else this is his persona, this is what he really intends and what he really means, but it came across, to me at least, it came across really strong and really comfortable. And full disclosure, I have not been the world's greatest Marco Rubio fan, but I'll tell you, last night he did a superb job on his little speech.
And just quickly before we wrap up, we'll talk. You'll be talking to Steve the next 3 days. Between 8 and 10
should
in the
be
morning.
fun again.
And of course, Rubio, when he says that, I'm the only guy who can beat Hillary Clinton, that's because that's what the media says. And I heard Chris Capistachio. Well, that's what I knew her as when she worked in Albany, New York years ago. But Chris Jansing on MSNBC this morning say, well, conventional wisdom turned on its head once again. In other words, what the media wants you to do or wants you to believe has been thrown out the window one more time. So
didn't work again.
We've got news coming up next in just a moment. One more hour of top story ahead. Fox Radio Network will give you an update in just a couple of minutes.